against Citroen's facelifted C5 Aircross, and we get you our review of the Bajaj CT 125X. Hello and welcome to Overdrive. I am Soini Dutt. The Citroen C5 Aircross is a good Citroen flagship in every way possible, but can it hold its own against the tech-laden Hyundai Tucson? It's time to find out.
The C5 Aircross, the model with which Citroen began its innings in India. Lovely car, beautiful radical design, spacious cabin, superb ride quality. In fact, we even compared it to its step sibling, the Jeep Compass, and it emerged victorious. That in a way meant that it was the best buy in the segment. What you see here is the updated 2022 C5 Aircross. So what you get is an updated face that looks wider. You get this smoked effect on the headlights, Y-shaped LED DRLs, which now aren't an extension of the logo anymore. And overall, I think it looks very handsome. So does that mean that the best buy in the segment is now even better? Well, it's not that simple, because this segment also has this.
The Hyundai Tucson, back in a new avatar, and how? I don't know about you, but this design makes me want one right now.
I've often said this, radical designs may not age well, but then again, most car buyers these days don't think beyond 5 years. And on a similar thought process, I think the C5 Aircross was the most radical looking crossover in this space until last year. But now, the Tucson sets new benchmarks with elements like these discrete DRLs in the grille or those sharp character lines.
Both cars look new age, but the Tucson has a more aggressive stance and in-your-face styling. If this design is too shouty for you, the C5 could seem more appealing and polished in comparison. The C5 is wider and taller, and the more upright nose gives it a commanding stance. The Tucson has a sportier, low-slung face and is the longest car in the segment with the longest wheelbase too.
Both the cars will give you powered tailgates. And despite the taller overall height of the C5, the tailgate doesn't open too tall. So for shorter drivers, shorter people, this is good news. This one opens way taller. Now on paper, this one gives you 580 liters of boot space, whereas this only has 540. But I think this is going to be more usable. One, if you look at the parcel shelf, it's a retractable parcel shelf, whereas this one is a fixed one. So that liberates more room for maybe taller cargo. It also has enough room, enough depth in there for larger suitcases. This one feels a little shorter in comparison. That said, the equal split, the equal three-way split for the seat also means that this has more versatility for maybe longer items, whereas this one gives you a 40-60 split. So even that is versatile, but maybe not as versatile as that. And while the C5 needs you to pull some straps to drop the seats, the Tucson gives you a more convenient arrangement with two levers that can easily drop the seats from the convenience of your boot. Longer wheelbase, smaller boot, that essentially means that the cabin space is actually better. You get tremendously good knee room, very good leg space. Headspace is not that bad at all. In fact, even for a 6-footer, it shouldn't be a problem at all. You get a nice big panoramic roof which extends all the way to the back. And the reason why I'm sitting on this side this time around is because this is now the boss seat, and it also lets me maximize the knee room and the leg space with these two switches on the front passenger seat. And that's not all. If you also want to get a quick snooze, there's also a recline function. Not a small one, but a big one. How's that? So the taller overall height should essentially give you better headroom, though it doesn't. Because the way the roof curves in, the roof liner curves in, you don't get as much headroom. I am 5'8" and it's already not feeling as roomy as it felt in the Tucson. Taller people will certainly have a problem with that. There's a panoramic roof, it extends all the way back here as well. So there's a nice roomy feeling inside the car overall. But in terms of the sheer space, well, it's just not as much as the Tucson. Will I complain about it? Not really. There's enough knee room, there's good foot space. These are comfortable seats with all this cushioning. They are nice and comfortable. Even from a safety standpoint, it's not a problem at all. You do get a bit of recline even on these seats, but that's the maximum. You can't really go more than that. So for overall comfort, I think I'll still go with the Tucson.
The three-piece rear seats of the C5 also mean they aren't as generously sized. So the Tucson would be a clear pick if you are going to be chauffeured around.
I like how the minimalist design liberates so much more perceivable room or perceivable space inside the cabin. There's a nice roomy feeling to this cabin, and that's not only because of the sunroof and the large glass house, but also because of the lighter upholstery. Now, in terms of the features, both the C5 as well as the Tucson are very closely matched on what they have to offer. But where the Tucson edges ahead is with small bits like the memory seating for the electronically controlled driver's seat. You also get a ventilation and a heating function in case you want to use that up in the mountains. But you have both those functionalities. The ventilation function also works very well in our conditions. The fans are not too noisy, so that's another good thing. The infotainment, the touchscreen size, resolution, very comparable again between the two cars, but this one gets connected tech. It is also mated to the Bose audio. You don't get branded audio in the C5. There's also ambient lighting to set the mood.
So even for those who will spend more time in the driver's seat, the Tucson offers a better set of features as you would expect of any Hyundai car. Therefore, in the space and the features department, it edges ahead of the C5.
Well, these two SUVs are pretty closely matched in terms of engine and performance numbers, and yet they handle quite differently. More on that after this very short break.